How would you view the world, your daily life, and even what you eat if you knew that plants were not only alive, but also had feelings? What if scientific studies could prove that plants communicate and perhaps even read minds?
There's so much more to our universe and even our physical bodies that we still have yet to understand. And that's what our show is for. In fact, the foods we eat also play a crucial element to our overall development and physical and mental well being, which then affects the world around us.
Well, this Friday Night Live will explore these topics more deeply, as well as the miracles of water. Also, be sure not to miss the weekly Mandela Effect, or Bendela Effect as Rob calls them,
I
the
do call
live Q&A that we have, and of course, the top 10 weirder news of the week.
This week's list features Hulk Hogan becoming a real hero, a man getting stuck in the bathroom on a plane, a man dresses up as his girlfriend to take an exam, and a spooky ghost encounter. You won't want to miss it, and we'll see you out
On the edge. And if you're listening to our Edge of Wonder podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or elsewhere, please leave us a 5-star rating and review to help us reach even more people. Also, remember to like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff wherever you're watching us. So, how are you doing, Rob?
I'm pretty good, Ben. It's been a crazy week. How you feeling?
Yeah, pretty good overall. Yeah, it has been a crazy week. It's more and more celebrities are building more and more bunkers. So
I wonder why. I really wonder why.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of weird. It really is. And speaking of weirdness, we thought we would kind of start off the show. So this, I don't even know what to think about this. Supposedly a witch doctor used bees
as
somehow
handcuffs.
to organize bees in a way where they act as handcuffs. And this is in Uganda. So, and this, they got this, they're arresting this thief. Now, it doesn't show prior to what happened or how the so-called witch doctor did this, but this is the thief right here walking.
Is the woman the witch doctor?
Oh, you might be right.
That's what I assume.
Bet it is. Yeah.
So close to the bees. So
Yeah. And so
she's the witch doctor for sure.
These are a bunch of bees that have just completely smothered this dude's hand. I really would love to know the more of the backstory. Unfortunately, we don't really have it, but yeah, the story is
I
that
think the expression on that man's face says it all, really.
yeah, he's like, I got thwarted.
He's like, somebody get rid of these bees so I can knock this woman out.
I can tell you what the caption says.
Yeah, what does the caption say?
This is from Digital News Uganda, from the Koboko district. In a jaw-dropping incident that left onlookers in disbelief, a motorcycle thief was reportedly apprehended by a swarm of bees in Koboko district. Witnesses claim that the bees, believed to have been summoned by a female traditional healer in the region, not only managed to detain the thief, but also escorted him to the central police station. He tried to make a getaway after stealing a motorcycle. The bees seemingly appeared out of nowhere, surrounding the thief and immobilizing him.
Hmm.
They're unusually large and aggressive, and they proceeded to form what onlookers could only describe as makeshift handcuffs around the suspect.
You
Dude,
know,
she spontaneously generated those bees.
well, somebody in the chat, Basilisk, he said, probably they got the queen's pheromones and maybe they like, sprayed it around him or something like that, or maybe on his hands. I mean, that's one
Yeah,
possibility.
but you'd have to like dip his hands in her pheromones. You know
Yeah,
how
I mean,
hard that
I'm
would be?
not really sure how that would work, but either way, it is weird to say the least.
Well, and how did she get his hands together? Did the bees do that? Like what
Maybe
happened?
the beast. I mean, that's the problem. We only have video right here, so we don't really have it like prior to that, leading up to this.
This
But
is awesome. I'm sorry. This is
it is
awesome.
really cool though. Bees are just like totally still. I heard a thing that if a bee lands on you, it just thinks you're a flower.
Oh, that's sweet, Ben. All those times I've gotten stung last
Well,
season.
yeah, but it's different if they land on you. If they land on you, they're not really planning to sting you. If they sting you, they won't land on you. They'll just sting you.
Oh, they'll land on you. A lot of them will land on you. Those yellow jackets are something else.
Well, yeah, those are different. I'm just talking about the regular bumblebees, because I mean, once those sting you, they die. The yellow jackets can sting you multiple times.
That's true. I can attest to that.
Yeah. Well, you guys, if you like all this weird news stuff, stay tuned later when we do the top 10 weird news of the week, which we always hear is one of our, pretty much everyone's the fan favorite part of the show is when we do the weirder news of the week. So we have some fun stuff tonight. Really weird stuff too. So, and we'll get into.
Speaking of weird, we've got a metaphysical minute now when we
Mhm.
get into that. Okay, here we go. UFO that buzzed Joe Biden's flight in baffling footage is getting wiped from Google. Daily Star.
That's weird.
So an unexplained white spherical object appeared to buzz the U.S. Air Force tanker aircraft assigned to the flight protecting U.S. President Joe Biden's official jet. And we're trying to load this video here. It doesn't seem like we're having much luck, are we? Did it already get wiped to their point?
Well, I think there's a screenshot in the article, Lindsay. You don't necessarily have to play a video. I mean, it's just this little
is pretty
blurb
strange.
anyway.
So extraordinary footage captured by two aircraft enthusiasts shows a UFO buzzing U.S. President Joe Biden's flight as it comes to land in Los Angeles, but claims UFO expert Chris Leto reports of the incident are being scrubbed off the internet. There it is. See that UFO? So is that a threat or a promise?
That's interesting.
Or is Joe Biden an alien himself and he's just being watched by some of his family?
Yeah. Or could it be like some kind of other foreign government thing too? The world may never know.
So Peter from plane spotting blog LA Flights told the Daily Star, we personally have never captured anything like it. We capture an odd looking object from time to time, which we later conclude was a balloon, a helicopter far away, etc. But this time around, it hasn't been that easy to explain, they said. The response from that video has been mixed from being a balloon to all the way to being otherworldly, basically. Yeah, that's crazy.
That is. Oh, yeah, there's the video. Oh, yeah.
This looks like it happened in December, but the claim is that the footage is disappearing.
So I didn't see it show up.
It was at the very beginning. It just it looked like it almost came out of the airplane itself.
Right wow! It shot past it.
Yeah, shot.
I see.
It.
Wow.
So it might have been hovering around it for a little while, and then it just kind of like
Yeah,
zoom
well, you can see it actually if you look close. It goes from the front to the back, like it shoots past it. Also, yeah, so that was our metaphysical minute, you guys. So this coming Thursday, we'll be having a live metaphysical Q&A at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Yep, my co-host John Vivanco and I have been getting a lot of questions, so we thought we'd answer some of the ones you guys have all submitted already, plus some of the ones that have been coming in during the live show. Also, for all of you out there, we've got a new shop. It's called shopmetaphysical.com, where we've got a bunch of designs that have been done by yours truly for t-shirts that you'd all love to wear. We've got a Mothman t-shirts, we've got Bigfoot t-shirts, we've got Loch Ness Monster and Skinwalkers, all pretty fun stuff, and they're really cool designs. So I hope you guys enjoy them and you want to pick one up.
Awesome. Yeah,
but it wouldn't be Friday Night Live without a Bendela effect. What you got for me, Ben?
Yeah. So, question for everybody: how many people were in the Village People? How many members?
4.
So most people think 4 because of YMCA,
yes.
So I was like, okay, but I do kind of remember 5.
I feel like 4 or 5,
but not 6.
No, not 6.
There's been 6. There always has been.
No, this looks right to me.
6 members.
The cop, the construction guy, the Indian. Because people used to dress up like the Village People at parties when we were young.
But it's specifically, it's the dude on the right who's the the soldier or the army dude. I don't remember this guy.
I don't really remember him either, but I don't remember the Village People in general because they were a little bit too much for me.
That is true. I mean, I never really listened to them, but it's like, even in the photos, he just seems out of place.
Yeah.
like he wasn't there, and then he's all of a sudden there. But his name, he's been one of the founding members. Alex Briley is his name. And yeah, he was there from the beginning. And they have had like kind of a rotating, some of the people have rotated throughout the years, and someone would leave and they'd have somebody else come in. But I was looking on a lot of forums, and a lot of people, most people said 5. Some people said 4, and then other people were pointing it out like I did. Well, maybe it's because YMCA, there's only 4 letters, and that could be why. But
I think so.
But yeah, and then so Wayne's World, they had they had a whole, in Wayne's World 2, they did have a sequence where they were all dressed up, and then they go in this club, and like YMCA starts playing, and then they start singing to it and dancing to it and everything. And there's 4 of them. So, but
that didn't help.
That didn't help. But still, it's been really, really weird to see that there are 6 members, and because there was a lot of things I was reading about. Okay, who could remember all of the costumes and whatnot? And the one that people said the least was the GI Army guy,
but he makes sense because of Vietnam.
I guess Vietnam at the time, but yeah. The other one, I mean, sometimes it was a sailor as well. So they weren't always the same costumes throughout the whole time of their existence. Depending if someone new came in, they kind of changed the costume for that person. But yeah, because there was Randy, Glenn, Felipe, Victor, David, Alex. Those were
I feel like those names are really appropriate for the characters that they were playing.
maybe.
I feel like one of them definitely was a Felipe.
Probably. And there were 7 members in the very, very, very beginning for the first year. And that was kind of before they really
hit us with some YMCA history facts.
I didn't know much about it, honestly. I had to kind of look into it a little bit, because I'm like, yeah, I mean, I forgot they sing that Macho Man song.
Macho Man.
And in the Navy, That was the other song that they sang too. That was the only 3 songs that I remember.
I used to change that to Nacho Man when I was young because I like
I
nachos.
did. Yeah, I did too, actually.
Yeah.
And like Macho Man Randy Savage came out. So, but yeah, anyway. Yeah, people in the chat are also like, I don't remember a military guy. I'm like, yeah, I just don't remember that.
I don't remember him either, but I would definitely not remember the YMCA. I would not remember them.
What do you mean you wouldn't remember?
I would look. I never was interested in them. Like
yeah.
I felt like it was torture listening to those
I know.
songs when they would come on dances and everyone would do them, and I'd be like,
I know. Actually, I remember that in school. Like that song would come on and it would like have us all like dance
do it
or something. Yeah, I don't know. It was before the Macarena. It was a long time ago.
Oh, that's the worst. Oh, that song is so bad. Like I can't. How did that even become famous? Like
Macarena?
Yeah, it's not
dude,
even that.
it's
just
all like gimmicky marketing. You know, you just have this dance and you just have people promote it and do the dance at clubs and schools or whatever.
Oh, I get what happened.
I mean, it was such a short fad, though. You know. There was a few songs like that.
It was a solid like 2 years that haunted everyone, and then people would constantly play it all the time.
Oh gosh, yeah, that was so bad. All right, well, why don't we're going to show our new
trailer.
Yeah, for our celebrity UFO encounters, which is now streaming on our platform rise.tv. And then, of course, when we get back, we're going to start talking about the secret life of plants.
All right.
That you did.
Is it a rolling stone in the sky? Is it a hunk of burning metal? It's definitely not a blackbird singing in the dead of night. It's a UFO. And chances are, your favorite rock star has seen it. Are rock artists just crazy? Or is there a reason why so many have claimed to see UFOs? From your standard believers to abductees. From lifelong stargazers to superstars turned investigators. UFO encounters seem to follow around these celebrities. Is your favorite rock star on the list? Find out as Edge of Wonder presents UFO Close Encounters, Celebrity Edition, Episode 1, Rockstar Mind Control.
Yo, that episode hits. So if you haven't seen it, you should definitely come check that out on Rise TV. The amount of stuff we found about these stories that these celebrities have of stuff that they saw is not anything you guys have ever seen before. You should totally come check it out. It was really good.
Very cool. Yeah. Actually, you know what's weird is that the story. So one of the stories we use is Sammy Hagar.
Yeah.
And for some reason that just like, I just saw an article about it just the other day. It was like they're promoting it again and he was talking about it. So it's kind of cool that just is making its rounds again. So he's got some of these celebrities have really, really intense stories that they at first
really intense.
First didn't want to say, and then it was like, oh yeah, you know, even to the point where it's like I saw this physically in my room. So
yeah, and I never heard the whole story of what's his name, the guitarist. Why is his name escaping me right now?
For you mean for
Van from the 60s, the guitarist, black guy.
Wait, who? What? Jimi Hendrix?
Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
Why that name was not allowing? I have no idea why. I couldn't think of his name for a second. But his whole story is one of the wildest things I've ever heard.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. I had never known that about him. Some of that stuff.
Very true. Okay. Moving on to the secret life of plants. Well, so recently, what came out from these Japanese scientists where they actually caught on video plants communicating with each other for the first time ever.
They're holding hands, dude. Look at that. Evidence.
Whoa, I didn't even realize that. I was like, why are they showing this interesting photo? And I was like, okay, that's why. I don't know if that's real or someone did that or what. But yeah, so what they did, how they got this, and they were doing these studies from the 80s, but this was just published and this video just kind of recently released. So what they did was they actually genetically modified a plant. It was a type of mustard. It's like a weed from the mustard seed group. It's really short. But what they did, they genetically modified it to add this some kind of calcium component to it that made it
Glow.
yeah, like how you're it's like a
Like bioluminescence.
yes, that's the word I'm trying to say.
I couldn't remember Jimi Hendrix, but I could remember bioluminescence for some reason.
Yeah, so what they found through chemical signals, or they actually call it light messaging, electrical impulses and networked roots create a complex language that is crucial for plant survival and interaction. And they were using a very special camera to capture this. So the study was calcium ions. That's what they were using. So the study, they basically had caterpillars and a bunch of dead leaves, and I guess they were like shooting them with air pumps around the area or something like that, or around the plants. And so when this was happening, this plant then reacted this way to alert the other plants, hey, there's danger in the area. Just letting
what
you
could
know.
they do about it? They can't move.
So what they do is that says they bolster their own chemical defenses in anticipation of a similar attack. So they might send more nutrients, like either through the leaves or the other way around, or like, for example, there's actually a tea, a specific kind of tea called Oriental Beauty, and they have these bugs that they deliberately put on the tea on the tea plants, and all they do is they eat kind of the roots of the plants, and so because of it, the tree sends more of its nutrition up through the leaves, which is why that tea is a lot more flavorful than a lot of other teas.
Wow.
Because it specifically does that. So the plant knows, like, oh, okay, I'm being eaten, basically. I want to protect all my nutrients so that it sends it up through the trees. So it could do a very similar thing, but in the opposite form. Instead of sending it to the leaves, it may take its nutrients and put it back into its roots to save its nutrition or energy or whatever you want to say.
You know what would have made this show more interesting? If we had a vegan on with us who is listening to us, so we could see their live reaction to animals being alive.
You're eating something that's also alive.
It's a very complicated. Well, I mean, just look at the last couple of minutes. Even, you and I have done episodes on plants before, but we're talking about very complicated organisms that they have their own way of life.
Mm-hmm.
Who are we to say what has life and what doesn't as human beings? Like, there's so much we don't know, and here we are trying to avoid eating plants because they're not animals, but they are a life. You know what I mean? Like, they're alive. It proves it. It proves it.
Yeah. So, yeah, it does. And actually, it's really interesting because the terminology that this one article used was Wood Wide Web instead of the World Wide Web.
That's
Wood
so cheesy.
Wide Web. So what they're saying is that beneath the soil, plants engage in a complex form of communication through their roots and associated fungal networks, often termed the Wood Wide Web. So this network is primarily formed by certain kind of fungus, actually, like a mushroom kind of thing.
Well, they
which-
say that the mycelium is what helps all the plants communicate, but I think it's more than that. Because
I
look,
think it is too.
well, who was the guy that was doing all of those tests back in the day in the USSR or whatever? He was doing all of these tests on plants. He started hooking up lie detectors to the plants and all this stuff. And it's like,
Yeah, we're gonna get
talking
into
about
that.
brain waves, right?
Right. So Cleve Baxter, he's a US. He worked for the
Oh, he did.
yeah, and he actually literally developed the lie detector. It wasn't that he just used
that's
it.
right. That's right.
He actually invented it.
Yeah.
So
Wow, magnificent ears on this guy. He could really hear.
kind of looks like Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
Well, Frankenstein's monster.
No, but it's weird, right? Think about it. Like if he hooked the
Yeah.
lie detector up to him, he'd actually, and he laid down, he'd kind of look like Frankenstein.
Yeah, and actually, we're gonna show some of these videos. In fact, we could right now show some of these. So, yeah, we might as well. So he took these experiments a whole step further. So yeah, these Japanese researchers are basically saying that there's a whole network, and through different kinds of like fungus, through nutrients, water, all these things, it could send signals to each other, and then there's like a massive network underground where all these plants can then communicate with each other. And I'm sure that's happening, but Cleve took this whole different
Otherworldly.
literally otherworldly.
Yeah.
And I mean, he describes in these videos how it literally fundamentally changed his perception on life as we know it, and how like he just started thinking about everything totally different. So Lindsay, you can play a little bit of this. We can actually play like a minute or so of this. Let's see.
It occurred to me just about 14 minutes along what would be the real optimum threat to the well-being of a plant. In fact, the imagery of fire entered my mind, and I not only thought, but I fully intended to burn the very leaf that was being tested with a match. Now, I had no matches in the room at the time, and I don't smoke, and I had to go next door to my secretary's area to get a match. But the interesting thing is that right at the split second that imagery of fire entered my mind, the tracing reflecting the changes in the plant just went right off the top of the page. And the only thing that occurred at that time, no lighting of a match, nothing else, merely the imagery of fire. And I must say that as of 14 minutes along in that initial observation on the morning of February 2nd, 1966, my life just hasn't been the same.
I can imagine.
Of course.
Well, no, play this. Yeah, this is fascinating.
Responding to the initial experience, when a plant apparently read his mind, Baxter works nights on his own in his small laboratory. His goal is to perfect an experiment that will satisfy the rigid criteria of the scientific establishment.
All right, you can kind of like fast forward this a little bit. So basically what's happening here, he's kind of setting up the scene, and they're talking about how he really wants to have very specific data for the scientific community. And so he takes shrimp and he puts them in like a dish with water, and there's boiling water below. And he sets it on a random timer. So he doesn't know when the shrimp is going to fall into the boiling water. And he has a camera set up, multiple cameras to record everything. And he leaves. He's like, I have to leave because he didn't want his own mind affecting the plant's reaction in any way. So it shows him hooking up the lie detector to a plant, and then he leaves. And so that's where he is now. So you can play this, or just, I mean, yeah, turn up the volume now. This is just him on the street.
60s looks fun.
Yeah. And so it's showing the shrimp in the cup. And like I said, there's multiple, and there's the plant. Has multiple cameras here. So he doesn't know, and then there it goes. And so that's the boiling water that and they're kind of microscopic. They're not like, normal size shrimp or anything. And right when they fall, the plant reacts.
Wow. What is the plant thinking? Is it upset?
So he explains that the plant was like crying out, like almost like like when you're watching somebody get hurt, and it's like you're really worried about them. Like that's how he's like that's equivalent of what those lines mean. And he describes that later on once he gets back to the office and talks about it and everything else. So it's just super weird because you don't think about these kinds of experiments. And there's some other things too. This next video, we can show this too.
Two distinct environments for her test plants.
This is cool.
Water levels were kept the same in both.
So what she's going to do is play two different
temperature and lighting were identical.
Two different songs?
Only one element was different. Semi-classical music was played into one. Hard rock into the other. In the chamber with soft music, the plants leaned toward the speaker, seeming to draw strength from the melodious sounds. In the chamber with rock music, the plants shrank away and
that's
eventually
crazy.
died. Time-lapse photography represents the reactions of the plants over several days. The results are unmistakable.
That's not even that bad, that type of music.
Test
No, it's not
conditions could
really.
only mean that it was the quality of the music, not the volume, that determined the reaction of the plants.
I just realized something crazy.
What's that?
If you played the Golden Girls for those plants, they'd develop like cardigans and hair curlers and stuff.
Probably, actually. Now, what is it? Mythbusters heard about this experiment and they tried to recreate it. And actually, and they've played like some super fast heavy metal music or something, like Slayer or something like that. And what they actually found was the plant grew faster in their experiment with the heavy metal. I don't know.
It was trying to run away, Ben.
Probably.
That doesn't make any sense,
Maybe
though.
that's it.
I
I know.
would have to see what they did. I'd have to see it. 'Cause
It was a while ago, and I can't really remember all the details about it. And I don't remember.
Like, think about those like Wagyu cows in Japan. They like play classical music and Mozart. Like, there's tests that they've done in Penn Station where if they play classical music, like it keeps the entire area much cleaner. So they play classical music in Penn Station. Like homeless people don't want to gather there.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. And actually there was a 7-Eleven. I think we even had that on the show at one point. They're playing something on repeat. I can't remember what song it was.
Yeah.
You remember? I can't remember if it was
really funny. Like, it was driving
like
people crazy.
Mozart or something it was some classical thing. I don't think it was opera, but it was something like that. And they just had it on repeat and the homeless people just completely stayed away.
No, this one was like, they kept playing some pop, like catchy 60s pop music over and over again or something like that.
You're going to say the Macarena. They should just play that.
It was something like that, though.
That would work.
Yeah.
What if you played it for plants? They would kind of do the dance of the Macarena if you like record it fast, or like, on a what I want is time lapse. Maybe you would see that. Anyway, there's one last video here where this is there's not much speaking in this, and I think it's in a different language, some of the texts that are there, but these people are part of an experiment where they got random messages to do certain things to plants, and they had no idea ahead of time what they were going to do, and then all of it was being recorded through a lie detector, and and so although this was more of the digital aspect. So yeah, and again, Dr. Baxter, he's the one that led the experiment. So he was testing this with different people and just giving them, and they're like cutting up vegetables in front of other plants, and notice like as he's cutting up that plant, it's going crazy. And, again, it's like worried about it. And the other one was like, cutting leaves off of it, doing certain things, and all of it, the plant was reacting to everything that they were doing. So,
man, the outfits in these videos are just so classic. Like, this is the stuff I used to go into thrift stores for and buy it and wear it in high school.
I think we're going to need some photos of that, Rob.
Nah, lucky for me, there are none.
Yeah, me too. I was the same way. I don't know what year this was.
Man,
I mean, he's Cleve is actually, he's a little older here, but I don't know how old he was for this.
This is murder.
Literally.
Okay, so nothing when that guy walks in. Nothing when this guy comes in.
Oh yeah, because they were looking at who destroyed the plant, right?
Exactly.
So far, nothing's happening. This dude walks in. There's no sound, by the way. They're not talking.
Oh, that's him.
That's him.
There's the culprit.
Yep.
Guy who destroyed the plant.
Conclusion.
That plant knows you're a serial killer now.
Plant killer.
That is wild. I don't think we've ever watched through those videos together on here.
What'd you say?
I don't think we've ever watched through those particular videos.
Yeah, I don't think we have. I mean, we showed one of them, and so we have a whole episode on the power of the mind that we do show. I think one of them maybe we showed, but I don't think we showed any of what we saw from that. And in that series, The Power of the Mind, we really go through like how our mind is so incredibly powerful, more powerful than the fastest supercomputer in Japan.
Oh yeah, there's stuff going on in other dimensions we don't even know about.
Yeah, and we're going to get into this also here in the next segment, and how foods affect us. Why, I started thinking about why don't they trying to get rid of gas stoves and saying like all these like butter is not good for you, coconut oil is not good for you, and yet no one's saying like, oh, don't eat, processed foods are actually way worse
or
for
don't
you,
cook
right?
in Teflon if you want to keep your hormones balanced.
Yeah, like all of it, right? And so why? And I started thinking about this. So we're going to talk about this, and of course, like all the farms got burned down too, in 2022. So and some brain facts, some food for thought. So we'll get into all this. But so you guys, we're going to leave. We're on Facebook, Rumble, and Ganjing World, Twitter, and YouTube. We're going to leave YouTube and head over to rise.tv. And starting next week, you guys, we won't be putting our live show on YouTube because surprisingly, the algorithm gives us more support on the other platforms. So if you want to continue watching our live show, come over to Rumble. And if you want to see the full, complete live show that we have, including the top 10 weirder news of the week and our live Q&A, come over to rise.tv to join our platform to watch the whole thing.
Yeah, and keep an eye on our Rise channel here on YouTube, because we're going to be uploading content on here that's going to hopefully help the channel grow a little bit more, which will help everyone, honestly. So
yes, it will.
Definitely keep an eye out for that.
Yes. So yeah, for just $12.99 a month, you can come over on rise.tv and support our work, or try a 2-week trial of Rise TV for just 99 cents. If you go to rise.tv/trial. And of course, we always do a live Q&A at the end of every live show where you get to ask us your questions in our live chat that we have. And yeah, and keep bringing you the truth that the censors don't want you to hear. So we'll get into some other cool things over on Rise TV too that we can't talk about on YouTube. So All right, everybody. Well, okay, we're going to jump off here, show a trailer right now, and then we'll see you over on Rumble and Rise TV.
See ya.
What came first, the chicken or the egg? How does the body know how to ride a bicycle or do the Macarena without thinking about it? What is the soul? If a tree falls in the forest and no one is around to hear it, does it still make a sound? And is there such a thing as mind over matter? People have been pondering deep questions for millennia, but it all goes back to one. What is consciousness, the body, mind, matter, or the soul? They say, I think, therefore I am. But what's the true power of our minds? How do our brains, minds, and spirits bring us things like works of art, inventions, music, and enlightenment? This may be the very deepest topic that exists in the cosmos. So let's dive deep into it. From the pineal gland to the brain, to the highest heights of heaven, to supernormal abilities. How does it all come together? You may have thought about it before, but you've never heard about the truth like this. Join Edge of Wonder for The Power of the Mind, Part 1. Fantastic superpowers and the brain.